Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing the new Patience is a Virtue seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which at the start of our turn, every card in our hand transforms into a random card that costs one more provision. That may sound like that means your starting deck doesn't matter, but there are a ton of things we can do to improve our chances of success, so let's go take a look at the deck. So today we'll be playing a Scoia'Tael Precision Strike deck that is actually more built for Harmony, but Precision Strike is a little more consistent. Our idea here is that we actually have 25 units in our starting deck because this is the first time we've had Patience is a Virtue with Renfri in the game. It's been a long time since we last had this event, so by having 25 units in our deck, that of course means we can actually use Renfri, either if we happen to get a tutor to play here from our deck, which we can actually guarantee if we're on blue coin using our stratagem, or at 14 provisions, it's not out of the question that you happen to get a random Renfri because there aren't that many cards at 14 provisions. So just having the opportunity to use her if she does pop up is definitely a nice option to have. That, and then alternatively, you could also use Curse Scroll to play Saskia Commander in your melee row and start summoning out some of the weaker units from your deck and get extra value that way. So that's generally what I'd like to do in round one is go Saskia, and then if you happen to get a random Renfri or a tutor, then obviously use her later on. Then we also have Roach and Best Boy to give us a little more value coming out from our deck, so that's another way we can get additional advantage relative to our opponents. We do have a Harmony scenario here, Mysteries of Loc Feainn. Now this is another card that if we happen to have a tutor, then that's great to be able to play this because we do otherwise have a bunch of various Scoia'Tael units of different varieties and double Renfri's gang, so if you happen to get a random one of these, then you can get solid value coming out of your deck there. But otherwise, it's, for the most part, lots of Scoia'Tael Harmony, so again, most of these cards are going to get transformed, so chances are you're not going to be able to play many of them, if any of them, but Saskia can summon them out, and if you do find a way to either play them or get random cards that are similar to this, then of course, if you have your Harmony scenario on the board, then that can help give you some additional boosts. And then we have, of course, the two Brokilon Sentinels to help synergize with the leader ability, because that is another way to get additional value coming out from our deck. And that's really all there is to it, of course. Other than that, it's a matter of picking whatever the best random card happens to be that pops into your hand. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Scoia'Tael here, and we'll go first. Alright, so we do have some very good cards in our hand here, perhaps most notably Saskia, and especially since we're on blue coin, we would love to use our Curse Scroll to get her. Can't do that on her first turn, but we'll probably want to do that on her second turn, so let's dump her. And then probably Best Boy and Roach are going to be the two that we put back in, although Brokilon Sentinel, of course, does come out from our deck when we use our leader building and get the death blow, so there is some benefit to keeping you in deck as well. Percival is obviously our best Harmony engine as well, so take your pick there. I guess we'll prioritize you two, just because you're a sure thing, whereas the Brokilon Sentinel, or rather the, wait, was it a Brokilon Sentinel, or was it? Yeah, it was. Okay. Yeah, that's not necessarily as much of a sure thing. Ooh, assimilating this event is fantastic. And we get Percival. Oh, man. Okay, so this is interesting as well, because I was going to make this a Call of Harmony deck, but I thought that Precision Strike was going to be more consistent. So obviously, Call of Harmony is the Harmony leader ability, but it just seemed like that wasn't going to be quite reliable enough to, well, rely on. But here we are with a card that could do just that. So we'll see. I think we'll go assimilate. Again, consistency. This is going to be at least 1 point per turn. This will, on some turns, be 2 points, but on many turns be 0 points. So I think it was really tempting, but I'm going to pass on it. Okay. Escol at the beginning of a round is certainly not a bad pick. For us, I mean, this would normally be the time where we'd use Curse Scroll to get Saskia, but let's just double check, make sure there isn't anything totally obvious. Treant Boar, again, if we had gone with the Harmony stuff, then that could have been a decent option for us. Flutter, we just don't have the stuff to build around that for, so I think this is going to be... We could also, of course, go for Renfri, but I think we'll, since it's round one, we'll try to focus on Saskia, and if we get a random Renfri or a chance to tutor Renfri out later, then that'd be great. Anything we want to put back into our deck, I mean, I suppose Treant Boar. So we use you. So this would have been one time in which we could have, again, guaranteed we could proc the Harmony, but any other turn it was not going to be guaranteed. We could copy them and go with Escol on our next turn. That might be what we do. Vatican, also not bad early on in the round. do technically have enough damage to destroy it with our leader ability. Not necessarily sure that's a very urgent thing to do. We might want to wait to see if there's a better option for it. Otherwise, Eskel or Druviel. Eskel's probably still better. I mean, he's going to have to go in the melee row, which is going to compete with some space for Saskia, but I think we still go for it. I am curious. I'm not sure if I've ever confirmed what happens if you get a 0 provision unit or card of any variety in either your deck or your opponent's deck in this event. So that was kind of tempting, to tell you the truth. All right, there's Best Boy. Uma's Curse. Results in. Not bad. Okay, so let's see here. So Scratch a Lot, definitely not bad for pure point scoring. Sausage Maker is a resilience unit, so that's definitely not bad either. Bjorn, not really sure that's of much use to us. Donamir for Defender, I mean, text Mage Torturer or Saskia, she's immune, so I'm not so concerned about that. Maybe more so the case for Eskel, you're a little bit of an engine, but I don't think that's a big deal. Cyprian Wily, not really a factor. I think it's mostly a question of which of you do we prefer. Again, melee row is a little crowded, and this does need to go melee row, but I think maybe we will take our chances there, because that is potentially quite good. I'm going to hold off on using this just in case they have Purification. Okay, now they're going to seize... Okay, Best Boy, that's not the end of the world. So now, Novigradian Justice, we should have, normally, a dwarf in our starting deck, but has it been taken from us and, you know, transformed into something else? It does seem like it. Oh, and did we get one of our Renfri's gangs transforming in our starting hand as well? That's another thing that's, you know, a nice to have in our deck, but apparently we don't have it anymore. Could melee row Dire Bear, that's probably excessive, because that hurts us just as much as it hurts them. Might be Uma's Curse here, otherwise, again, it's Donamir. Guess we'll try Uma's Curse, see what we get. Vildkarl, we don't really have a way to damage you. Let's go Palmerin. And we'll boost, I guess, you. And then we will lock and move you. So I think that paid off. Because now we shut down Eskel. Yeah, we had to pay the price a little bit to boost you, but in doing so, we got Ciaran out. Okay, Regis. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. It's decent. Not amazing, but it is decent. So we had some 1-power cards there, so they were able to chain that a little bit. We have some, speaking of decent, some pretty sweet options here. Ashe is fantastic if we can proc this Thrive, which shouldn't be that hard to do. Shawnee, do we have... yeah, not really. Burn a Seal. Range Row is still not bad for Point Slam, and Old Spirit Tip obviously is a Point Slam as well. I think. And then Rune Mage might have some carryover value, a little bit hard to say definitively. I think we try Kashe. It's not quite enough for us to catch them immediately. Well, actually, yeah, we went first. No, we do need to catch them on this turn. Come to think of it, in that case, yeah, it does need to be. Verna Seal is 11. Old Spirit Tip is 12, if I remember correctly. So let's do this. And then let's do this as well, because we might be running out of time for that. Okay, Francesca. So not sure if they're going to be able to capitalize on that at all, but Old Spirit Tip is, of course, another big point slam, and would have been great if we were able to afford to get the Kashi in our previous turn, but we weren't. War Elephants. Do we have a way to make you work? Not really. Beruver. Not really going to work either. I think it's probably Old Spirit Tip. And obviously we do have ways to set up our leader ability. Do we have... We've 1 Sentinel. We should probably use this. We should probably use this. Just because as we've already seen, it is definitely possible to find yourself drawing into a Brokilon Sentinel, and then it gets transformed, and suddenly your leader ability is weaker. So, in the interest of avoiding that situation, we do win round 1, by the looks of things. And we have some carryover as well with the Sausage Maker. Not sure that's going to be a huge factor, but we'll take it. Alright, and we drew into the Renfri from our starting deck, and we also got a random Renfri showing up. And then we have the Renfri's Gang, which I think was the only one we have left. Yeah. Oh no, we still have the other one in our deck. Okay, I just didn't see it before. I mean, if we happen to get a random Renfri's Gang at 6, then having 2 of these in our deck is great, but there are a lot of cards at 6 provisions, so I think we probably do just try to keep our Renfris. Or find a way to tutor them out, which would also be great. We did play one more card than our opponent. We do have 3 points on the board. I'm not sure that's enough to justify going any further here, unless we have something that's going to immediately give us coins to regain the resilience here, but that doesn't look like that's the case, so I think we just pass. And one thing I didn't mention before, but I think is really cool, is now our cards change at the end of our turn, which gives us much more time to prepare what we want to do on our next turn, because they used to change at the start of our turn. And they'll use Saskia, the Harmony one. Really? Oh, that might have been a random best boy, because to get him that late is quite surprising. Alright, so normally we'd want to make sure that we don't have that many cards that are, all gonna turn into scenarios in the same turn and make matters difficult for us. On the other hand, I mean, that is kind of the case with Renfri, and we would like to keep those Renfris in deck so they don't transform. So I think that is going to be what we swap out here, and speaking of scenarios, there is one. We definitely have some low provision cost cards here, but in a relatively long round 3, they should have time to develop into something much better. Oh, and Roach, I mean, could very well turn into at least single, if not double Renfri. Not technically double Renfri, doesn't matter all that much, because the second Renfri is just going to replace the leader ability from the first Renfri, but, or alternatively, Royal Decree, just get one of them, and maybe see if we get a different tutor later on to spread out those leader ability charges. I think that is probably the direction we're going to want to go in here. Jock is not bad, but I'm not sure how much they're going to commit to coins to power him up. Siri Dash is also not bad, but let's just double check. Like, we have 3 cards in deck, 2 of which are Renfri. So yeah, there's a pretty solid chance we'd get 2 Renfris out here, but again, that's just not that much value. So I think instead, we go for 1 Renfri, and we see if, hey, maybe we get lucky and get another Renfri later on. So with her, let's see what we can do. Stratagem, that gives us another Renfri. Yeah, I think we probably go that route. I mean, the other ones are also potentially quite good, but why not 2 Renfris, right? Then, the lowest provision cost unit from our deck, which is a Treant Boar right now, which is not bad. Lowest powered ally to 10, that's also potentially good, but I think the Boar could very well be worth more than 10 points. In fact, we probably should have even used our leader ability right there. Oh man, what? Okay, yes, we can do it. This will, if we go leader ability, that will give us, wait, leader ability would give us the option to play both cards from our deck already. We don't even need Dandelion. Alright, Oakcritters is not really all that big of a factor, although it does proc their Harmony. So that's the benefit of Harmony, is that if you can get any Scoia'Tael unit, there's at least a decent chance that that's going to turn into a more powerful card for you. So I think we do this. I mean, unless we're about to go Regis, in which case we should do that first so we get the initiative, but I don't think we are going to do that. So if we go leader ability, then we, so we get our stratagem, right? Okay, yes, we can guarantee that we get the card we're looking for here. And we go Basilisk Venom, and then we have 2 sources of poison. So let's do this. We get you. Actually, would have loved to have gotten this the other way around, because then we'll do this. We'll do this. Remove you, get a copy of you, and so I guess this was summoning you out anyway, right? So it wasn't gonna proc this Harmony. But a little bit of the best of both worlds here. And then next turn we'll use this Curse Scroll to get our Renfri from our deck, because that is the one card we have left. Alternatively, T-Boar's not bad, but I'm not necessarily sure we want to give them another card here. So, do they have? No, they don't have beasts in their deck. Okay, I'm actually surprised, because they're Scoia'Tael. You'd think they would, right? But, yes, now the question becomes, is it Renfri on this turn, or do we save this for a later occasion, because it's not necessarily urgent that we do this? In that case, it would probably be Tibor, but there is some risk, because this does give them an extra card, which is not necessarily something we want to do. This is also a tutor to get Renfri, except in this case, that would basically brick our stratagem. So tons of tutors. We have lucked out a lot in that regard. We'll go Tibor. We'll do it. We'll give it a shot. Not a huge fan of it, but we'll give it a shot. So we have the luxury of waiting to use Curse Scroll and Renfri until whenever we find ourselves with a bricked hand. Ooh, that is an issue. That is an issue. So that's going to get rid of Tibor, and we just paid a heavy price to play this. We gave them an extra card. So if they can destroy Tibor, then that's not going to go well for us. So we could potentially Renfri here, see if we find something with Renfri's leader ability that could destroy it. Alternatively, yeah, there really isn't anything else that's going to do the trick here. So I think out of necessity, I mean, there are good cards for other circumstances, but this Villain Trenton Mirth was the possibly single best card they could have had. So I think it's this. And we'll put back, take your pick. Most importantly, though, it's use Renfri. And we're looking to destroy something. Yes, like that. Cool down. I don't think we're going to have time for that. Let's do this. Need to get rid of Villain Trenton Mirth so that Tibor survives. Otherwise, that would have been a big issue. But there is the double Renfri. They can't even believe it. And so, it looks like they rage quit. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here. And they'll go first. Alright, so we have, well, several of our most important cards in hand. One that we'd like to at least see if we get the chance to tutor out at some point. So let's get rid of both our scenario. Oh, well. Those are the three cards, more than anything, that we want to keep in deck. So take your pick, Renfri versus Saskia. I think maybe we take our chances on getting a random Renfri at 14 provisions. It's not out of the question that we get a random one showing up, whereas Saskia at 13 is just slightly harder. Oh, and then Renfri's Gang is another card that's not crucially important, but would have been nice to have kept in deck as well, in case we got the chance to tutor those out. Alright, so it's Damien first. That's a card that we would like for them not to get the chance to play, and for them to put Veil on him as well. Makes it quite difficult to shut him down, unless we just do something like Predatory Dive and say no way. I mean, means we're getting rid of an 11 provision cost card that they also invested their stratagem in. Let's just see, is there any... Oh, we could move him for what it's worth, and that would shut him down. That's actually... I mean, obviously it doesn't destroy him, and he does have a decent number of points on his body. But that's not out of the question. We could Furcart into Predatory Dive. That's a little bit of a middle ground. Let's move him. Well, that's unfortunate. Alright, obviously it was a little bit more of a risk to move him and not get rid of him, but didn't exactly expect them to be able to move him back so quickly and easily. Alright, that was also the wrong time to use their leader ability. I mean, they kind of they didn't have to, I guess. There's a chance we would have been able to answer, but now every card that they just drew into usually use tactical decisions so that you draw at the beginning of your turn one of the rare opportunities to actually play a card from your starting deck, but since they did it at the end of their turn, all those cards are going to transform before they get the chance to play them, so that previous leader ability charge, not all that useful for them, as it turns out. But as for our cards here, not terribly useful. Honestly, might even go for Old Geared. Otherwise, I mean, you're technically a 9. I mean, I guess that's theoretically worth a little more. Obviously, Jutta doesn't quite work because you're the highest card here. Does get Roach out as well. Okay, Zoltan for Resilience. We'd like to find a way to purify that. Beast is a decent point slam, as could be Sir Scratch-a-Lot. Technically, I suppose Scratch-a-Lot's slightly more consistent. Oh, we have 2 Scratch-a-Lots? Okay. Imlerith, it's not like you have anything amazing to discard here unless we happen to draw into anything good, so I think we'll go Scratch-a-Lot. Turning into a monsters deck very quickly here. Also, keeping an eye out for opportunities to use our leader ability. Alright, She Who Knows, they're getting some really good options here. Doedric is fantastic for consistency's sake, making sure that we have at least the opportunity to play a card from our starting deck every turn. As for whether it's a good one or a bad one, that's a different story, but at 8 points, it's slightly worse than some of the alternatives. Beast would probably be the best in a longer round. If this round is going to end soon, then a Primordial Dow would be better, but unfortunately, no bounty on She Who Knows. That would have been amazing, but yeah, let's go Doedric. And we'll use Scratch-a-Lot. Alright, Colossal Ifrit. We actually don't have as many units in the melee row, so I'm not entirely sure why they played it there, but I guess we had armor. Maybe they're trying to get rid of Scratch-a-Lot, but Scratch-a-Lot we can replay and completely mitigate that damage. So what we should do here, I mean, we have potentially some interesting options. Ooh. Potentially some very interesting options. We should use Doedric first and just see what we draw into. Well, would have been great if we got anything other than Best Boy, so we could have put the new Best Boy into our deck and benefited 2 times from getting him out, but it's not the case. So, Scoundrel, depending on what we get out, could be okay, but we don't really have the coins to get rid of whatever we play from it, so I think we just go double Scratch-a-Lot here. But technically, he was not from our starting deck, so he does not get the immunity, so he's a little bit vulnerable. This one now obviously doesn't have immunity either. Okay, Aguara, who knows? Orb of Insight's okay, not amazing. Alright, and just take a quick look at their graveyard. Yeah, no. So, Blue Dream's not really going to work. Tin Boy, in their range row, is not out of the question. That's not bad. We could move Scratch-a-Lot into this row, set up Great Oak, but let's once again just see what we get here with Doedric, and I think Dwarven Chariot is not all that good, although you could make the case that, hey, we're getting into a bunch of high provision cost cards here, so pretty soon a lot of these are going to brick. But if we get a Renfri or even a Scoia'Tael scenario, then we could potentially still work with those, so I think we will still put you back. Let's go and move you into this row. So we at least could go Great Oak. Tin Boy. No, but with the base power, this is probably still better. So if we go damage, unfortunately, you have a decent bit of armor, but I did go for you because I figured it gets us awfully close to bringing you within leader ability range. That would have been great if we had Best Boy on our previous turn. Potentially a double Best Boy on our previous turn. Okay, well that's very lucky. Okay. This is going to give us a free 2 points, which is kind of nice. Radovid, oh. I mean, technically, getting one more charge on this when we are not going to have a second round of Sentinels is not going to be fantastic, but we have enough damage to remove Gessos with leader ability. That's definitely what we're going to do. Let's check this first, though. Still going to put you back, I think. Unless, I mean, this is, again, the point where you could make the case for maybe putting one of these cards back into our deck so that we don't have everything turning into a scenario. So we'll do that. But we will still play... Oh, except now... Yeah, that was going to prick you. Okay, fair enough. Let's go... do this. Get you guys out. We'll use Radovid, I suppose. It's not as significant when we aren't going to get any more Sentinels in our deck, but so be it. And it means we've taken the lead here and gotten rid of one of their best cards. Now, I was originally planning to use our lead ability to try to deal with Zoltan, but it may not be the case anymore. Alright, another Zoltan. Decent point slam, and unfortunately... Oh yeah, you know, I was trying to split our units between different rows, but they do still have that Ifrit in the melee row, so we should try to avoid it. But yeah, that's where I went with the Sentinels. Suppose we might not have even had enough space if we went this row. Let's use Radovid. So 2 charges. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but we could steal Gezras. We could go Feign Death. It's a little bit late for that. We obviously have a bunch of non-elves, so that's not super helpful. Nilfgaardian Knight is functionally a 6. We might still be looking at Vilga Forts here. And we'll take... Suppose Gezras is a little bit risky. We'll give you Feign Death, just because, again, that's a really high provision cost card. Oh, we also should have at least checked. Well, speaking of scenarios, it would have been a little more viable to have played ours than to have used Feign Death. That is technically a card that we have built this deck around. Of course, would have liked to have gotten it a little bit earlier in the round. We would love to get the chance to play She Who Knows, though. Okay, they do pass. So they will get the resilience on Zoltan, and She Who Knows, I assume, is their highest base power card, right? So, you know, it's kind of tempting to play our own She Who Knows and go, haha, we can match you to a certain extent, but since they also have Zoltan, I mean, it could be a big enough difference maker to try to push in round 2, but I don't think that's really worth it. So I think we'll just settle. Alright, we did get some cards changing into other things. Treason's maybe not a terrible thing to keep in our deck in case we somehow find an opportunity to play that. Otherwise, we see the Harmony cards that, yes, theoretically the deck is capable of playing around if we do ever find a way to get them out from our deck. But, yeah, the scenario just wasn't popping up early enough for that to be a factor. I think we probably do dump at least Fukusia. That way we can make sure that, again, we don't have just scenarios. Even if we can, potentially, at least make one work. Treason maybe we put back in deck as well. Okay, now we've unfortunately gotten both of our Renfri's gangs that are starting deck to transform. So if we do happen to get a random one popping up, that's not really a factor anymore. But I think we are probably still looking to dry pass here. We won on even. So even though they do have some carryover here with the 2 resilience units, it's not a huge deal. We'll still have last say in round 3. And they'll, of course, pass. Alright, and well, now we get some of the bigger cards again from our deck, like Saskia Commander. I think we probably still try to keep her in deck. Percival and Lake Guardian are the 2 that I'm debating between. Best Harmony Engine, and it's kind of similar, but does continue to get boosted in our deck, whereas you do not. So I think maybe... Okay, Saber-Tooth Tiger going unitless. That is a little tricky to deal with. I was, I think, assuming, actually, Catechin can play around it. So we should probably do that. Otherwise, I was going to say Bart just because he has the armor, but I guess we do this. Why not? Okay, Herald. For damage, now we could Werecat Ranger just destroy all of them. No, don't do that. We could Sabrina's Inferno destroy all of them. Also, not a great idea. We could get rid of Herald, which we probably do want to do. I mean, Vadier is the best card here in an ideal situation, but he just doesn't necessarily fit the situation as well as our other options do. I think it's probably Mullane, unless we have enough damage with leader ability plus something else. Not quite. Yeah. Melee row. Use you. Oh, right, you are in a row by yourself, I suppose, but I think that was still worth it to shut down these Herald Pals, and we'll try to put something over here in our next turn. I mean... Oh, I thought they were about to do it with for us with Cantarella. I mean, fortunately, we did put Lake Guardian back into our deck, but fortunately it did not get boosted very much because they have used it against us here, but it means that was functionally just a 3-point play, which is pretty sweet. Olgir's not terrible. Hemdall, no thanks. Same reason. I mean, yes, it's a great job destroying all those cards, but that's not really what we're looking for. An earlier Zoltan in a previous round would have been great, but no, it's definitely Olgir here. Okay, where at? Oh, yes, that does work well. That does work well. Okay. Do we have any nature cards in our graveyard by any chance? I don't think we do. We do not. Okay. Keltolis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. No, that's not good. Magic Compass is definitely not out of the question. Maiden Shield is not terrible either. This could hit you fairly hard. Actually, don't have a lot of cards in our deck right now, and they are all pretty solid. Oh, but it means we also don't have anything great for a Saskia Commander to get. Do we have any Skelga units here? We do not. Okay. Maybe this wasn't as good as I had hoped it would be. Maybe not, especially because Saskia really doesn't have anything. Like, quite literally has nothing to get. So, take your pick. It's basically a 4-point unit no matter what. Okay, Siege. We might be looking to play a scenario on our next turn as well. Let's see. So we can spawn in another Ekimara here, so that's decent value. Philippa, Colossal Ifrit. At this point, they only have one Herald's Pal left, so it's maybe not a huge deal if we're taking you out. And we still get a little bit of extra damage. The cooldown 3, what? We'll get one more turn of this. Getting the Thrive, is it too little too late? Possibly. I mean, Philippa could be enough to destroy at least you. That's actually not terrible. This is going to flip into a 15 next turn, which is going to be a little bit of a handicap. Because that's probably going to be borderline unusable, if not outright unusable. Yeah, so I think it probably should be this. It is later than I would like to play it, but we'll go for it. Alright, and they still have their leader ability, because they got that extra copy of it with Damien in the previous, or in round 1. Alright, it's Philippe. That's... Let's see, what would that go after? I mean, Cantarell is the one that they could most easily go for, but that's not a fantastic option. Vilgefortz is the only thing that triggers Thrive, and because we haven't procced the first chapter of this scenario, it's truly the only thing that's going to do anything with this scenario. Portal, again, unfortunately, the cards we've gotten out of our deck, transforming and whatnot, have been pretty impactful, so we have wanted a lot more. So I think it is going to be Vilgefortz. And with that, something that can still be a relatively low number, or, you know, right at that sweet spot. I think it's probably Damien. And we'll give you, let's see, 12, 11, let's give them the 12. Could destroy, what? You? Yeah, let's do it. I think that's definitely worth it. And we got Gezros from it. Totally worth it. Confirmed. Totally worth it. Oh, they used the Were-Rats, where that came from. Oakfist. Okay. Don't see that one every day. But I think it is clearly Gezros here. And do we prioritize boosting ourselves or damaging them? I think boosting ourselves looks like that's preferable. They'll still proc the Thrive, so that's good stuff. Ooh, and Emir. They just pass altogether. Okay, so no idea what that last card was, but apparently it was no good. Maybe it was no, even destroying the highest unit would have still worked for them. So, yeah, I don't know, but with 2 leader ability charges and an Emir to spare, we'll take the win. So there's a look at a Scoia'Tael Renfri deck for the new Patience is a Virtue seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.